far as I can tell, I sent out all the links. This seems to be working. That seems to be up. I know we've had issues here and there with the stream, but nothing too extreme lately. We've been doing pretty good, to be fair. Last couple times we've come in here, aside from that one stream that got like knocked out, we've been doing pretty good. As far as I could tell, all the links and everything are sent. That's fine. Move that. And let us double check real quick. Make sure that everything is right. So far we got 3 people in the door. We'll see how many people we get as the day goes by. I realize that this is a Tuesday and everything, so it is what it is. And I don't see... looks like our connection and everything is solid. It looks like we are off to the races right off the bat. We're going to do pretty good, I think. So, wonderful. Let me click that. Let me get this and this up on the screen. And let me make sure that my overlay is working. Ooh, oh, yep, there it is. Yep, got my overlay. So, everything seems to be working. What's going on? And what's going on? How is everybody? How are we doing tonight? I know I've been getting in for these like crazy the last couple days, which is going to be a big help, by the way, because it seems like I get relatively 4 or 5 chapters out of these that I can kind of cut up and keep the show, going and posting. One of my topic videos posted today, which was specifically talking about it's very hard to trust release dates or street dates when it comes to toys because toys don't really have them in the same way as other products. And that was part of another video, which was 5 things to keep in mind. I did that. And then there was kind of a disagreement that came up in that video talking about how I was wrong about the street dates. And I think it was more of an understanding that they thought I was claiming that there was no street dates for toys. And that he was like, there definitely are, and things of that. So like, I had to expand a little bit on it, and so I did a separate video after talking it out with him, which I did. I'd say we had an argument, but not like a bad-spirited argument where we were like mad at each other. He put down his viewpoint, and I was like, I thought for sure that I explained it, and then we had a back and forth for probably 4 or 5 messages, and then we were both like, okay, I see where you are. And then that was about the end of it, but I did want to talk because... And now this is crazy because I mentioned that he was going to process soon, or that it looked like it. I got the email today. Maximum Hulk has shipped. They took the money. It has shipped. He wasn't due by their according. By the pre-order date that they gave me, he wasn't due for 2 months. So... a surprise 60 just like hits my wallet like 2 months in advance before I was supposed to, pay for it. But, and I did love the fact that we opened that chair. And I cannot believe this is about to become a trend on this show. We may have another chair coming. I don't know yet. I looked it up. I found that I can get the Z chair for like $40. I kind of want the Z throne. Like, I have the Bone throne. I have the Conan throne. I have the, whatever you want to call that chair back there that right now currently Electman owns that chair. And now I could very much have the Z throne. Like, it's weird that I'm like collecting thrones. Like, that was never an intention. But I have a really cool Lord Zed. It would be cool to have a throne so that he could sit in it. And it would also be really cool to be able to do that Frazetta picture that I talked about. Yeah, they bumped him up for June 3rd on Hasbro Pulse, and I also got an email from Amazon saying June 10th. See, so you're still on June? I got notice today. that he's on the way. They just charged me for him today. And the way that Big Bad has been working is Big Bad has been sending me, and this is as far as I've been doing things with Big Bad, and maybe it's because I live so close to them. Like, I know where they are located, and I could drive there if I really wanted to. If I really wanted to, not that they would give me my stuff out the door, it doesn't work that way, but I could drive there if I wanted to. It wouldn't be that catastrophe, that much of a thing. I could do it in a day. So normally what happens is I get the email, they process the money, they send the very next day. Like, that fast. And so if today they took my money, they will more than likely, because I got the notice, hey, we are processing this right now, immediately followed by another email, we are taking money, he is in stock right now, which will then be followed by another email tomorrow, or if not tonight, that says that he is shipped. Like, so like you're talking about June, I'm going to get him shipped out by the 21st or 22nd. I am almost 100% sure in May. That is way early. Like, way early. That's crazy to me. And yes, I am, I don't know what is going on, but I have been lucky enough to just knock these out lately, which is awesome, to be fair. I love to do these for what it's worth. Without Fandom Night going on, this is it. I don't really get to do this kind of thing anymore. And it's something that Shane has talked about too. Shane has talked about missing it, and he really wants to get Fandom Night back up and running. And it's not that I'm against it. It's that it's really, really, really hard right now to do a multiple person show. It's nearly impossible. And then Shane, the same guy, Proto Guy, the same guy that's telling me he wants to get back into it and tried 2 times to get the group together, he just took a 3rd shift job. So now, again, it's going to be even tougher to get us all together. I was just about to watch the new video from you. It's a good one. It's my video. I hate to do that, in all honesty, but it is actually a good one. It talks about how street dates are, it's something that you can't necessarily trust in toys. And specifically, I actually give examples. I show my pre-orders, and I talk about things coming in late, things that get pushed back, things that like don't have a date at all. They're just like sometime around the 2nd quarter. Good luck. Hope you have the $60. And then the ones that like come in way, way early. And how if your wallet isn't prepared for the fact that these like action figures can drop at any time. They could be like, hey, this isn't going to happen until July. And then for some reason in April, they're like, hey, we need that $70 right now. And I'm like, well, I wasn't planning. I thought I would put $20 back each check until like July when you were supposed to release it. And they're like, nah, it's coming out tomorrow. You better be ready. Like, so I actually give some direct examples about that. I actually thought it was a pretty good video. I had to include Batman, though, because I didn't want to give away my credit card number. You know, that whole thing. You'll see. You'll see when you see it. Batman's there. Speaking of Fandom Night, decided to start working on a little project. Characters for each of y'all, like mascot designs. You know, that has actually been brought up in the past. One guy, and he never got around to doing it, in all honesty, but he was an artist and everything, so I thought that he had an actual shot at pulling it off. He was working on a Fandom Night Rangers, and he was going to sculpt like suit designs and whatnot for each of us and give us all a color and whatnot. And then he was going to have us showcase that on the show and do like a breakdown of how we look and things of that nature. And it never happened, but it would have been a really cool idea. Looks like Marvel Legends is going to win this first round. Not a bad thing, though. We've got some Legends sitting here that are definitely ready for opening. Let me go ahead and get that poll ready real quick. Bam, bams. Move, microphone. Boop. All right, let's check real quick. I've got Oh, is that who I think it is? It is. Let's also include... There's that. That'll be solid. Oh, cool. Yeah. And what's under that? Let's run these possibilities and see how that turns out. And let's get back in here to the chat. People are talking. I'm not surprised. While Big Bad Toy Store gets some things later than other fan channels, they sometimes get product way before Hasbro or even Entertainment Earth. And isn't that kind of weird how shipping works? Like, you would imagine, and I know, I get it. I work in the shipping industry. I know. You would imagine that Hasbro making Hasbro toys would get Hasbro toys before anybody else. But it's weird. Shipping is a weird monster, man. The longer you stay in logistics and the more you see how it works, it's just wild sometimes. Are you talking about me? Because I was chatting about making Toku Hero designs. You were talking about it, yes. But no, there was an actual artist that we were in communication with for a while who was thinking about doing it. And I want to say he wrote up 2 designs. Like, I saw rough sketches of 2 things that he DM'd me. But he never got any further than that. I think he got busy with other stuff and then it never really happened. But that was a thing that was going to happen for a while. There was an artist that was working on Ranger designs for the group. And it just never took off. It never happened. Let's see. One of your videos had all of you guys with Ranger Avatar. You were, yes, that was, I remember for a while there. So here's the thing, a small peek behind the curtain, and not anything that's supposed to sound nasty or bad, but more realistic to give you an idea. You'll notice with me, this is like a thing that I do. And I put a lot of time into it. This is a thing that I do. I want to come on here. I want to talk. I want to hang out. I want to do streams. I want to, that's like a thing. And I want to make the videos. I want to edit and I want to stay ahead of schedule. And I want to have like 6 or 7, 8 things in the pipeline. This is the way that I work alone. And for a while, I was able to sustain this in younger Reploid productions and very early Fandom night, when it was me, but I was giving up practically my entire life to do it. And I burnt out. I burnt out hard, and I couldn't do it anymore. And that kind of brought Scott in to even further, because originally Scott was not a host here. Or not here, but Scott was not in Reploid Productions, and Scott was not a part of Fandom Night. That's not the way that was supposed to work. Scott had his own show. We collaborated with him. He came on to a couple of our shows. We went over to his show a couple times, and we did a couple shows with him. There was stuff posted on his channel and stuff posted on our channel. We did a con together as a joint thing. Then he was out of a couple episodes, and then he showed back up, and then he was out, and then he showed back up, and then he just started showing up for every episode. And before we knew it, he was in. And we had a problem that hit us, and we had to make a question. We had to say, okay, listen, this situation can't be fixed. I can't do all this. I need a second editor. And one of our guys had just basically given me an ultimatum. He was quitting if... I'm not going to tell you who it was. One of my guys told me he was quitting if Scott stayed. They didn't get along, and that was their thing. And I told him, it's just the kind of person I am. I said, look, man, I don't like ultimatums, and I'm going to let you know something real quick. If I have to look at this like a show, and I hate to do this to you, you're a voice, and that's all you are. Like, you're not doing any background work. You're not helping me set anything up. You're not buying anything for the show. You're not contributing to equipment costs or anything like that. You show up, you do a voice, you leave. And I've loved having you. You're a buddy of mine. It's fantastic. But if you're going to force me right now to make some sort of decision like a him-you type of thing, and you don't have a legitimate reason besides you two are not best friends, Scott has offered to edit and supply equipment to the show. Business-wise, I'm going this direction. If you make me do that, if you make me choose a direction, you're the one on the cutting room floor. I'm sorry. If I have to put a business hat on, you're the one getting cut. And that's what happened. Scott was elevated. He became the second editor. We started working with him. He started taking on half the projects. Before long, he started taking on all the editing, and I was able to focus on the production side. I was able to make sure that the equipment came in and set up the office and actually get people together and deal with the scheduling conflicts and figure out what we were going to film, how we were going to film it, how often we'd have to do this or that and jump back and forth and things of that nature. This was all part of the monster. It's a lot to do YouTube, a lot more than people realize. And there was a point in time where we decided to get I wanted to get real serious about it. I wanted to start producing episodes at least 3 times a week, and I wanted to run, and I wanted to monetize, and I wanted to go for it. And it started to become oh yeah, we should definitely do that. But then there was nobody really stepping up for the amount of work that it was going to be. When I started explaining, this is going to be work. It's going to be a second job. We cannot back out on this one. If you tell me we're doing this and I push the button and we go forward, everybody has to have a job. We have to move because this is what I'm planning. This is what it would look like. And we can't half it. It has to be, you got to put your whole ass in it. Take your whole ass, put it in. And for a while there, we kind of got on board with that. And so I started getting way more serious about the streams. I started putting in backgrounds and getting in the side information, putting a little overlay across the bottom, and we started showing up on cameras and things of that nature. I even started to try to learn how to do all of this stuff, where I could hit the button and bring that in and stuff like that. This was a thing that I wanted. So I started learning the processes and how it would work. Then, almost overnight, it became, I'm kind of burnt out. I don't want to do this. Well, we're busy doing this. We don't want to do that. Blah, blah, blah. That sounds like a lot of work. Well, here's an episode that would take a lot of work, and here's an episode that's just us sitting down bullshitting. Let's do the one that's really simple. Let's do the one that's just bullshitting. And so the show went from what it was about to become to falling all the way back down and pivoting out across the bottom and becoming what it was. And it's almost a blessing in disguise that we didn't get as serious as I was about to take it because, as you can see, life hit us and it hit us hard. We had family members die, we had jobs lost, it was a lot, and we could not keep up with it all of a sudden. Wolverine and the 2-pack seems like it is about to win. It's got 2 minutes left, and I don't think any votes are left. But that's a big part of what was going on. It was wild when you really... It really was. It was wild. But it seems like a lot in the group has settled down, and we're starting to find more footing again. So I'm very curious if it's possible that we'll be able to get some episodes on that channel and get moving again. I don't want to make any kind of promises, but you could see the difference in how often I post and how much I work when I don't have to pull in 5 or 6 other people and hope that they work with me. If I'm left to my own devices, I'm kind of a workhorse, if you want the truth of it, in a way that sometimes burns me out, but it's my personality. I can't help it. I think they make certain batch and then send them off, in this case, Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, which would explain why all the Gamerverse figures have suddenly become in stock. You take your Fankman. Yeah. I mean, look. Rather you guys have fun. And look, that's a big part of it too. I had to get everybody... The reason that we backed off, we got one more minute on that. I think that Wolverine is winning. If it doesn't win, I will be very shocked. We would have to have a massive change in votes. But, yes, the show does not work if we are not in the right state of mind to do that show. So, like, it is very important that we like what we are doing, because that show cannot function if we are not in the state of mind needed to make it function. What do you guys want to see in Disney Plus Power Ranger series? I wouldn't even know anymore. I could tell you that if you are going to do Power Rangers and you are going to do it right, you need to modernize it. And I don't mean you make it dark and edgy and adult. You need to modernize the storytelling. Every single episode must matter. You must be working towards a major confrontation. Fight the villain of the series. You must not create formulaic storytelling. I couldn't say it for some reason. Formulaic storytelling has to die immediately, or it will not work. It has to be that if you're going to do a show like that right now, you need to model it kind of like after what Voltron did. Every character must matter. Every single one of them needs spots to shine, spots to matter, and they have to have definitive personalities that bring something to the table. And at the end of all of it, we need to pull back on the super attacks and the Megazords. And I mean pull back. It needs to be an event. You want to wait for... You need to wait like 6 or 7 episodes to have an event that requires the Megazord. And you need to have 2 or 3 episodes in between each time you use some sort of ultimate death beam, put the weapons together attack. Because when you overuse these things, and I understand that Power Rangers is formulaic, and I understand that Power Rangers is built on this concept, if you do that again, you are walking down the same path we've already walked, and it will not work. We're just done with it. It doesn't work the same way that it used to work. Now, I realize that fans really pull against this kind of thing. But if you're asking me what I would do, I would revamp the series the way that I just explained it. And that's the only way I would ever try to bring that series back. I mean, yeah, we're fans, not slave masters. Do whatever you want. And I've never said you guys... No, absolutely. What that is coming up? Neo-Disney era. Let's go. I feel like the 2017 Power Rangers movie was a good modernization. I watched it in the cinema, and I liked it. The design work was bad, though. At least the Megazord wasn't the bad CGI from the 90s. I would want them to pick a tone. Hey, Bill, do you think they will make the TMNT Last Ronin live action movie and the TMNT Ronin game in the style of God of War? I don't know. Look, I know this will surprise some people. For all the talk about The Last Ronin, and for all the original stuff that I have read Ninja Turtles-wise, I've read most of the IDW, most all of it. I've read probably the first 100 plus issues from Mirage Studios. I've read a good collection of adventures, and yet I have never read The Last Ronin. I hear about it all the time, and I've even had the chance to read it, but I have yet to actually buy it and put it on my shelf. So, like, my opinions on The Last Ronin are severely limited because, say they did make a movie out of it, I don't have a concept in my mind for as what it would be, how it would work, or if it would work in a live movie format, because movies and shows have one thing that you need that comic books can do. A story with Spider-Man, and he's alone, and he's Spider-Man for an entire book. And it doesn't bother you because you are in the head of that superhero. He is talking to himself the whole movie. Comic book, you get the idea. One of the things that never translates well about comic books into cinema is we don't hear their thoughts. Comic books have been like this for generations. You hear what the character is thinking. That gives you an in-depth idea into who this person is and how they deal with the traumas they're dealing with. But then you get to the movies and you need characters to bounce off of. If you do a live-action Ronin where he's alone for 80% of the movie, what do you do with that? Do you do a noir-type movie? Will that work for Ninja Turtles? One could argue that sure, of course it would work. By the way, Sabretooth wins. But then one could also argue that maybe those movies don't work if you're looking for the kind of action that Ninja Turtles is known for, and the common viewer, that they need that common viewer's money. Fans will not be able to make a Ninja Turtles movie work. You need the common, everyday, casual fan to go to that movie. And if you tell the common, everyday, casual fan, there is no Leonardo, he is dead. There is no Donatello, he is dead. There is no Raphael, he is dead. There is a turtle, and he's dealing with a situation. You might lose 80% of your audience on that premise alone. For all the people you'd pick up, you may lose the casual goers, and then you're not going to get the tickets, and the movie's not going to work. Counter argument, you could do a Last Ronin animated movie released on streaming or straight to DVD, and it would probably do gangbusters. Hey, if Sentai can make an entire show where the formula is shot to death, I have hope that Power Rangers can go no formula mode. I think Power Rangers needs to. I think it's about time that Power Rangers separates itself from the source material as well. I'll be honest. Power Rangers is a different monster than Super Sentai. They're both two. They come from two different cultures. They are the same thing in essence, but it's one culture's take on how superheroes work and another culture's take on how this superhero idea works. And they're two very different things with two very different kinds of storytellings with two very different audiences that are willing to adapt to either side. And I really think that you need the kind of thing that I was talking about if a Rangers thing is going to work. No question, we are getting Sabretooth and Wolverine. Yes, he won. Talking to a character in his head. You are excited about Doomsday MCU movie. Are you excited about Doomsday MCU movie? I hope they don't drop the ball on this. Yes. Look, I know people are very excited about that. If they don't knock the Fantastic Four out of the park, it does not matter what they do with a Doomsday movie. Doesn't matter. Period. Bottom of the nil. Doesn't matter. If the first family doesn't work, if that movie is not an absolute home run rebirth of the MCU, No matter what they do with Doomsday, it will not matter. I'm just letting you know that all rides on the Fantastic Four. That you cannot bring the first family home and screw them up. It has to work. They cannot afford to screw up the Fantastic Four. I need something before we can talk about this this figure we're going to open. I need... Where are you up there? I feel like it's up there. I feel like I put it up there myself. Where are you? Oh, you are in the very back, aren't you? Got him. I need that. I have to know if I wasted my money here. Like, is this, because this has been my Sabretooth for a long time. And because Wolverine's the size that he is, it hasn't been a problem. But a bigger Sabretooth, this could be the absolute, this guy could be retired. So I've got to know, I've got to see what these guys look like standing next to one another. Agreed. Agreed. Power Rangers should not be Iron Man suits. No, I'll give you that 100%. Okay. Here we go. Let's do this first one, shall we? Wolverine, Sabretooth, 2-pack. Yes. This is a con situation. So look, we've talked about this before. Sometimes you go to the con and you're willing to pay a couple of extra dollars for the fact that you're at the con. Well, this, and I probably got a deal considering at this point, when I found this at the convention, it was $80. I winced a little bit at that. $80 feels like a lot for what this is, for what I know this actually cost when it came out. But I didn't jump right on this. You could say that's 100% my fault. I would not argue with you. When this came out, when they said, hey, Wolverine is going to be a big deal this year, here's a bunch of Wolverines. And they said, here's Liara with a Wolverine that you don't really care about. And I was like, don't care. And then they were like, okay, well, here's this other pack of Wolverine. And I was like, don't care. Like, and I just did that over and over and over again. And then they showed this one. And this one, I was like, oh, I might care. He's got the street clothes. But how much do I need a street clothes Wolverine? And I already have a Sabretooth. I said that. I mean, I got this. And he has been fine for a very long time. Very long time. He is an older figure at this point, but not an older figure like where he feels old. He has worked for what I needed him to be. He fights Wolverine. Wolverine is tiny, so this guy seems huge. And when I put him next to other characters, he still seems fine. But then I got to hearing about this one. And people saying like the colors were better. And people were saying that he's bigger. He looks better. That he feels better. And then I started wondering if I'd made a mistake. Because Not so much FOMO, but realistically, in a line that has lasted this long, if you have certain characters and you got the one that you thought was the best at the time, that was fine. Sooner or later, they will upgrade. We're having this argument currently with things like Maximum Hulk. People are mad about Maximum Hulk because the Maximum Hulk is not a good enough upgrade. Now, I'm not going to argue that because I'm going over it right now, literally in real time. This guy was good enough for me. I really wasn't too worried about it. But as time went on, and I started taking some pictures and whatnot and thinking about it, I then come across this figure at the convention. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, they might be right. I mean, the head's bigger, the arms are bigger. Him, like, his colors do seem better, like more on point. Did I make a mistake? Sometimes the upgrade of an item is not instantly recognizable. Sometimes the upgrade of an item is not really noticeable until the actual item is in your hands. And in a world where we mostly pre-order nowadays, I can't just put the item in my hand. I have to look at pictures. Pictures for this did not impress me. So I said, then I started seeing some reviews. Then I seen him in person. Then I said, you know what? He might be a good enough upgrade to invest. And I'll get the Wolverine that I need for my Fantastic Four. So, like, crap, I think they got me. And so I dropped the $80 and I brought it home. I put it to the side and I waited for him to get a vote, which has taken a lot longer than I assumed. But now here we are. He's won the vote. It's time to unbox him finally and see. And I want to compare. I'm pretty sure I'm going to like the Wolverine. If I don't, I will be shocked. But I need to see just how much of a difference this really makes. Is this guy retired now? I'd say there's a good chance of it. But I won't know until I'm holding it. Let's unbox it. All right. So, first off, let's at least take a look here. I'm going to admit to being a little confused about this part right here. He does come with an extra head. He comes with extra hands. One is a more open-esque hand, and one is more a tighter closed hand. One is to hold these cards, which I will say this, that's cool. Because we got the cards here, and I know it doesn't come through on this camera because this camera plays games with me. But that says Xavier. I think it's an Xavier Institute cards. And for what it's worth, the cards are fully detailed. That is really cool. And weird that we got fully detailed cards from Wolverine before Gambit, at least in my current memory. I don't remember Gambit having cards that were like that level of detail yet. So, otherwise, mine has a little bit of a defect. I'm going to have to go in and shave it. It's not too bad, but he's got a little tag right there. Otherwise, these are pretty good claws, which does mean something because the Wolverine claws, that's a problem I've dealt with forever, is Wolverine claws are either great or they're awful and they're going to break and you're going to be very mad about them. But otherwise, he's very basic. He's got his cowboy boots, he's got his regular suit, but he moves pretty well here. He's got a good dip and everything like that. We're not going to have any problems with his legs or anything. He's got the double knees, he's got the double elbows. He's what I wanted him to be. It's cowboy clothes Wolverine. He'll go perfect in my Fantastic Four display. Awesome. I didn't expect to have much to say about the Wolverine. I pretty much figured spot on that they weren't going to screw that up, and how could they anyway? I wasn't too worried about him. Now, one thing though, just to bring it up. I don't understand exactly what's going on here. They gave us two faces, each with a slightly different expression and different colored hats. Why the hats change? Like, why is one hat... It's not like a lighting effect. Like, they are different colored hats. I'm not sure why they did that. Like, it just feels weird that if you wanted him to change his expression, like, say you were doing, like, an animated skit, and you needed him to be talking, and then all of a sudden you need him to smirk, but now his hat, for some reason, has changed colors. Like, I'm not sure why they did that. Like, that's weird to me. It's not a big deal, but it is weird to me. Well, anyways, we've got this evil smile face, and then we've got the angry screaming face, and we've got this guy, and he is a pretty hefty guy. He has these open hands right here, right now, and then he has more closed, vicious-esque hands. Whichever you want for whichever situation. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that, but, like, his plastic feels really good, actually. Like, he moves way easier than I was expecting him to move. Unlike the Wolverine, he's still dealing with the older ab crunches, though. Like, which is weird to me that, like, if you're going to go out of your way to do this, why does he still have this old ab crunch up, the upper abdominal, and why not the better one? But whatever. This one, the spike is a little firmer. This one, the spike is a lot more malleable, which you could argue is better in general. But I'm liking the color. The hair stays on. That big mane, that's a big deal because, like, this mane, it jars around. It's not actually on there. Like it's kind of a pain sometimes, in all honesty. And it kind of drives me crazy, and I never really loved the color of this. It does feel like that is an upgrade in color, in look, and in feel. And wow, is this, I mean, he's a little bit bigger, okay? Like, look, those are his feet, okay? He's the littlest bit bigger, which honestly, I was thinking people were saying he was way bigger. I will say, you can't necessarily tell, he's wider. Like, he's thicker and he's a little bit wider overall than this guy. But in terms of height comparison, these guys are not that far off, in all honesty. I mean, he's a hairdo bigger. So, all the talk about how big he was, I don't think he's as big as people made him out to sound. And I to say that I was a little wrapped up in everybody thinking that he was so unbelievably, like, big, kind of makes me feel like, you know, maybe I jumped the gun here. But, I mean, his movement is very solid. Like, you can easily get him into, like, some crazy jumps and things like that and have him all like this. And, like, so you're going to get plenty out of this guy easily. Like, do I regret this? Do I feel like he's not enough of an upgrade? Because, look, that's what we're currently talking about with things like the Hulk. People are mad that the Hulk is going to cost some serious money and that he uses a whole lot of reuse and that he doesn't feel like that much of an upgrade. You could make an argument that if you already have this guy, there's not too much here. I know how that sounds. I'm going to be happy with him. I really do think he feels better. That's hard to explain. His plastic feels better. I know that's weird, but, like, this guy feels harder. And, like, you hear that? Like, that's how he feels, and he moves around, and there's all these click noises with him. But, like, this guy, it's a lot better. Like, he feels better. That's weird for me to say, but plastic can definitely make a difference, and he feels better. Otherwise, I mean, we've got pins on both characters. They're about the same size. If color isn't too big of a deal to you, I don't think you're really hurting with this guy if you already have him. I will say his color is better. The fur is better. It's bigger, too. It goes up on his back more. Which you could argue is a bad thing. He can't look up as much as this guy can. I think I am going to retire this one. But I'm going to tell you that if you missed out and you felt like this guy was like a huge upgrade, I'm going to argue he wasn't. In fact, I'm going to argue, because I may as well, what I'm seeing between what I'm seeing between Maximum Hulk and the last Hulk released is a bigger upgrade overall than what he is technically to this. Like, I still see pins, not on his arms, I'll give him that. I mean, I could break this guy down forever. I'm still seeing the same kind of upper ab movement, same level of articulation. Like, this guy moves the same as this guy moves, except for this guy's hair is now in the way of his head. But I did see this guy has butterflies, and they're pretty extensive butterflies too. Like, they got a lot of back movement, they got a lot of forward movement. So the upper torso, because this guy has none, the upper torso is updated. But also not, because that's the same, like I said, we've kind of moved past this now. But that's where my mind is right now. Look, you should know by now, these are not toy reviews. They're my first impressions from a fan that got something that he wanted, from a guy that collects toys, that does a toy podcast type of show that wants to talk about the new figures he's got in small, bite-size little toy casts. That's a big part of what this show is. I'm not looking to tell you a review. I'm not Shartimus Prime or Toy Shiz or Pixel Dan. If you're looking for reviews, that's probably where you're better off going. That's not me. But everything's said and done. That's what I have to say about it. I'm happy for it for the most part. I'm going to put him on the shelf, and I think I'll do just fine. Going back to the chat. And there's probably a lot of chat. Let's see. Right now, you can get Cutman for $14 and Electman for $16, both for the price of one. Such a good deal. You want to get Cutman and Electman? Dude, I like those Mega Man figures. I think they're fantastic. I'm still wondering what they're going to do with RDJ Doom. I sincerely hope they don't make Victor Von Universe. Yeah, so anybody on here that's looking for those, he's putting it up right now on Amazon. You can knock these guys out for low price right now. And I think those are fantastic figures. Let's see. And here we have the humble Bill in his natural habitat conversing with his figure shelf. That's right. I'm just saying I want something that resembles Power Rangers. I can look at it and say, Power Rangers. Billy gave the Dino Fury Rangers new powers and morphers. The first Cosmic Fury episode featured Billy and Mick on an expedition to find the altar of Zordania. Zordnia? Let's see. Jake, I think it's already way too late for Power Rangers to not be Transformers. For that to happen, you'd need to get rid of Zords. I don't know about that. The Dino Fury team was there fighting Zed's new minions. I'm surprised you didn't get a Hugh Jackman suit Wolverine figure. Here's the truth of it. I like that movie. That's not what I'm about to say. When I seen those figures, to me, there's only one Hugh Jackman figure I want. Street clothes Hugh Jackman. That's it. Look, he's played Wolverine for a long time. And the most common version, what he is known for, is street clothes Wolverine. The suit Wolverine, at this point in the legacy, is a really cool gimmick that we finally worked our way up to. But almost to the point of it feeling forced. Like they knew that bringing him into the MCU, they had to do it. They finally had to give him the suit. And while we all looked forward to it, we all liked what we saw, if I was to buy one Hugh Jackman figure for the shelf, which I really don't buy MCU figures to be fair, but if I was, it would have to be street clothes Wolverine. Like a solid street clothes Wolverine. Also, what exactly do y'all mean by Rangers should not be Iron Man? Like, what? Like high-tech, robotic, not spandex? I'm confused. All true. In terms of that, the art design for the Rangers, when they did that movie, they were just Iron Man Rangers. Like, that's what they were. Their design looks like more based on Iron Man than anything else. That's what people are irritated about. And they're also irritated that the mech was very much designed with the same CGI aspects as the current Transformer CGI that we're seeing, and people were just kind of tired of it. They're just tired of it. Let's see if we can't get this up while I'm going through the next thing here. Or there. Let's see how this pans. Okay, and let's see what was going on. All true, I have this 2-pack, and he is the highlight of this particular 2-pack. Everyone was trying to get their hands on this 2-pack. Everywhere it would sell out. This Sabretooth is awesome. I can agree he is really cool, and I know he got a lot of people's attention, but like I also can't help but kind of back what I said on that one. I do feel like in hand, he's both really cool, and at the same time, if you didn't get one, I don't think you're going to lose your mind about it, in all honesty. I don't think you need to anyway. I'm willing to wait for Fandom Night to come back, even if it takes another decade. See, back in the day, there was a show created by Saban called Mystic Knights, and each character had to go on a solo journey to obtain their powers. I remember that. Why does Wolverine look like not wrinkly Freddy Krueger Sweet Dreams, bub? I don't think he does. I'm a huge Freddy Krueger fan too, so I don't see it at all. The hat's wrong, the shirt's wrong, the pants are wrong, the boots wrong, the build's wrong. None of that rings true to me. Black colored hat looks like it's squished on the side. Maybe the extra hat head could be for a hand on that hat pose, like a cowboy putting his hat on or about to take it off. I don't know. This guy sure feels harder. ReploidBill 2025. Is that the wind making noise in the background? I live next to an airport, so inevitably when I do streams, you will hear planes. And I'm next to an air base, like a military air base, and an airport, and a UPS air freight. So all three of those things are in my area. So there are UPS planes that fly. There are military crafts like helicopters, and there's like a big, big giant. I can't remember what they're called, but they have like the 4 engines and everything like that, all propeller and everything. That big giant one, is that a B-52? I can't remember, but there's one of those things in the area that flies. There's a couple of different helicopters that fly. A couple of them are they look like more single-manned operations, and then some are very much like crew carrying, because you see them, they practice out. It's actually pretty cool. They fly, so like they'll literally do these operations where, because there was only so much to do in the area where I grew up, we would go watch them. Like there were a couple gas stations and whatnot where you could see the airfield, and they would basically take the helicopter and they'd take off from one position. They'd fly across the lot to the other end, and they'd hover, and soldiers would actually jump out of it to like practice dismount and stuff like that. And it was actually really cool to watch them do it. But that's one of them that are around here. And then, of course, we have the actual airplane commercial liners and stuff like that fly out of here. So there is a lot of background noise that you can and will hear in my area. Plus, I'm located very close to a school. So sometimes if I'm doing a stream and the window's open because it's hot or something like that, you may actually hear things like marching bands and things like that. So it's kind of crazy. Actually liked the Mystic Knights. Looks more like Sharp Hand Joe. Military base. Do your gunshots ring out when you sleep? No. No, I've never heard fire in my area. Never. Well, I've heard gunfire in my area, but not because of the military. Do you have a favorite Disney animated movie? I love The Lion King and Aladdin. It's probably Aladdin. If I have to pick one classic Disney animated film, for me it is Aladdin. I don't know why. Like, I really don't. Like, I just really, really like it. That's the one that that's the one that I always seem to go back to. It's the one I liked the most when I was a kid. I really like the Aladdin movie for some reason. That should be normal, ain't it? I don't want to give you an improper depiction, realistically, of what the common American is like, but my area hears gunfire. That's what I'm going to tell you. It's, we have shootings that happen in my area. It's one of the things that actually scares me. Not so much exactly where I live, but not very far away from it either. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm the underdog enjoyer. I like Princess and the Frog. Won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? We have... Whoa, really? Did Motu Origins just win again? Did that happen in here? What? Get out of here. Still got a little bit of time. We're at 6 minutes. 6 minutes, 6 votes. There are currently 9 people hanging out, so there's a possibility of 3 more votes. We won't give it too much longer, but so far, Motu Origins is winning. Are you ready? Oh, well, okay. Okay. If that wins... Oh, wait. Did I just see a change? Oh, this is interesting. We have 7 votes, 9 people in the room. We have a little bit more time, and we are currently tied between Motu Origins and Conan. Interesting. This is neat, actually. I'm noticing that Star Wars isn't winning. Like doesn't even have a single vote isn't winning. It's hardcore. Not that I'm too surprised. And there's not too much left in terms of Star Wars if it does get picked at any point in time. I think there's like 5 figures. And I don't know, realistically, once we finally get through Star Wars, what the chance of adding anything is. I have seen the Red Sonja movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I have decided that that is Conan. And I have decided that he is traveling under a fake name because... That's what I've decided. All the time. Because from what I understand, it was originally meant to be Conan, but something happened. And basically they rewrote it like the last minute or something. I remember reading something about it. I don't know to the extent of whether it's not something I read was maybe somebody's wishful thinking or if it actually was the idea. But I know that I've heard something about it. I've read something about it. But I have seen it. Was I floored by it? No. But I did not detest it at the time that I seen it. Now, that being said, I seen it many years ago on television, so I was not at the point that I am at now with my understanding of those universes and things of that nature. I'm trying not to sneeze. So maybe I would feel different about it today, in all honesty. If I'm being perfectly honest, I may feel very different about it today. Wow, okay. We're at our threshold. Conan won. I'm not going to complain about that. Now, a bit of a problem with Conan winning. Conan has 1 figure. There. That's it. He has one figure, one chance. That's okay. I'm not too mad about it. I have 2 figures on the way, maybe, that are Conan related. But no, hold on. I have 3 Conans that are on the way, all Conan related merchandise. And I am fighting with myself about the possibility of picking up a couple more movie Conan figures. But I don't know. And there's a very real reason, and we're definitely going to talk about it when I open this one. Because I'll have some real decisions to make about this one. Well, let's do it. King Conan. Conan the Barbarian. Super 7. I have a love-hate relationship with Super 7. They produce things that make me go, oh, that would be cool, and it's unique, and there's nobody else doing that. And then I see those items, and I have troubles. I see a lot of their Ninja Turtle stuff. And I go, that would be really cool, especially since a lot of it, especially in the Ultimates, is redesigns of the things that I specifically want. And I got a couple of them. I got all 4 turtles, and I got the Shredder, and that was awesome. But, a big old but, when I bought them, it cost me $60 a turtle, and $60 for Shredder. That's a lot. Like, I mean, not for nothing, but that's 60 5 times plus tax for 5 figures. I mean, that's a lot. And sometimes Super 7 will make these decisions that just don't sit right with me. Like, I thought to myself, man, I'm getting all this Motu stuff. It would be cool, even if I don't have a lot of business in there, because I've yet to see a single episode ever in my entire life. But I have read one comic book. It would be cool to get at least Lino and a couple of his people on the shelf, right? Of course. Thundercats has a huge lineage. I'm into this kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure that by the time I do actually sit down and watch it, I will enjoy it thoroughly. And I really enjoyed the comic book, the Motu Thundercats crossover comic. I enjoyed it extensively, and I liked it a lot. And I kind of got to know Lino and these characters, and I was like, if this is what it's like, I would be interested. $60 minimum per figure. Plus a couple of the figures, which are like smaller figures, still ranging in the 60, making it so it's not about the plastic, it's just about an across-the-board price sometimes. Then there's the idea that Super 7 doesn't tend to put a lot into the movement for figures. We could argue it's modern articulation. But I have those turtles, and while I love them, they are exactly what I wanted. If you're seeing this in the chapter form videos, in the annotations, that Holy Grail Turtles is going to be there. You will be able to check it out. If not, keep it in mind if you're interested in my thoughts on it. I did a video called Holy Grail's Turtles, and those turtles, those 4 turtles that I bought, that is what I've always wanted. but I'll more than blatantly admit that the body designs for most human figures bug me in Super 7. And sometimes they look cartoonish, like with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers stuff that they released. I said, oh great, Mighty Morphin, that's pretty cool. I haven't upgraded my Mighty Morphin in years. I'm happy with the figures that I've got, so that's not really that big of a deal to me. But it did make me think. And I said, hey, maybe that's my chance. They come with a bunch of stuff. That's pretty cool. And I started looking, and I'm like, hey, they do come with a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff that really hits the series. Then I got to looking at them, and I was like, but they look like cartoons. And I passed on all of them. And Super 7 has this habit of doing these things to me. Either they price me out with the methods that they use, and I don't feel like they're worth the money that they cost at the dive-in rate. So don't misunderstand me. I have spent $70 on a figure before and felt like that's okay. Case in point. I mean, we know I bought Tigra twice. Both those times were over $70. And it didn't bug me. It's Tigra. It's Fire and Ice. It's part of my childhood. It's part of a lineage that I enjoy very much. It's Frank Frazetta. Like, I'm there for it. It's Bakshi. Come on. Like, I'm 100% on board. And you give me a quality figure, and I will buy it. But it's a small ask to put some Frazetta icons on the shelf, as opposed to Super 7 Ultimates, where there seems to be something new every other week. And at 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, it's too much of a long dive. Which now brings us full circle to me staying out of the Conan line when they started doing it. I said, before you know it, I've got Conan, I've got Conan again, I've got Conan again. And then, of course, I would have Thulsa Doom, and I would have Valeria, and I would have Subotai, and like these are all cool ideas. But how much can I do before it becomes too expensive? And then I got looking at the Conan in war paint. And I noticed his body. And I was like, oh, it feels a lot like Motu Classics or DC Classics. It feels like an old superhero body design that I don't like. So I stayed away. And I stayed away for a very long time. Until recently, I had to rebuy Tigra. And when I was doing it, I happened to have extra money. So I debated, and it won. I knew that I'd found this Conan throne, the king throne. And I said, if I'm getting the throne, I need the king. What's that going to take? I looked them both up. They were both fine for what it was worth if it was going to be a single drop. I invested. This will be my first dive into anything Conan from Super 7. So there's a lot riding on this guy. A lot. And I already see a problem. But if I'm lucky and I open this and I get over the problem very quickly, maybe I could talk myself into Subotai, because it would be cool to have Subotai, right? Maybe I could talk myself into Thulsa Doom. Maybe I can get Valeria. I could put the movie stuff on the shelf. It's possible. But it's also very possible that I could open this guy, and that's as far as I go. Because Super 7 always feels like a very large drop. And for what I get out of it, it often doesn't feel like it's worth that amount of money, even if you would argue that it very blatantly is. Sometimes it's about the way it feels. And sometimes that trumps what a thing costs. Let's see. Let's open them up. Okay. Here he is. Conan. And for what it's worth, so far, feels good. Okay, that's not terrible. Right now he's got the tiniest punching hands. Look at his little hands. Look at him, look at this, so small. It does feel like his hands are smaller than they should be. Like, unless they just made him so egregiously big that his hands feel like, look at his tiny hands. Look at them, look how tiny they are. I don't know if it's coming off on camera the way that it is in person, but his hands are tiny. Like, it bugs me. Here's part of why. Look. That's his tiny little fist. See it? It's tiny. It's an adorable little fist. It'll punch you right in your little teeth. Psh. But then if we take that fist off and we open up his big old giant man hand, like, now his hand feels too big if you compare it to his tiny fist. Like, are you seeing the level of difference here? Like, am I the only one that feels like that seems wrong? Like, his fists, his tiny fists? I don't know why that feels so off to me, but it really, really does. That doesn't feel right. Luckily, he does have these more open hands so that he can grip things. But even then, it almost seems like he's got a tiny little gripping hand. Like, it's just a tiny little hand. He's got his sword right here. And he's got like a little thing here, so I know that this can go... I know that I can drop it on the floor. I know that it goes there. I just got to get it on there somehow. It's made of like a rubber material. It'll just pop right over there eventually. Got it. That's cool. I mean, it looks detailed. He's got a royal sword here, Aquilonian emblem and everything, which is kind of cool. Put that there. It fits. It clips in. It's nice. He can reach down and grab it if he wanted. Does having a sword in hand make that hand seem less teeny? I don't know. It also doesn't want to... It's not very malleable, I'll tell you that. Almost feels like this is the kind of hand that where you got to heat it up. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not going to play around with it too much. I don't want to cause any kind of harm to the actual thing in general. I will heat it up later and test how the swords, but I'll get an idea at least. Now this is the sword we know. This is the sword that he found in the movie. And minor problem here. That's just gray plastic. Like that's it. It's kind of weak. It's okay, but you put so much detail into this sword with the sheath and unsheath, and that's very, very silver. And then you got all this gold and all this attention to detail and sculpting and the black here and the paint apps everywhere. And then like this, you just kind of put like a bronze there. And there's kind of a dark wash on the sword, kind of. Barely noticeable. Like this is the movie Blade. This is what I feel should have gotten the treatment if you were going to do at your price point. You telling me you couldn't have taken this and like, is this not with another Conan that it has a better paint job and we could... This one just surprises me because this is the sword that I feel should have gotten the detail. It's not a deal breaker. It looks fine. It's sculpted very well. But it does bother me. That being said, we have two heads here. We have this head that he comes with normal, which is a fine likeness to Arnold in the makeup, in the design for the king, looking a little older, looking regal and everything. It works for me. It does actually work for me. I don't hate it. It's got a good look to it. Then they give him this other head. And I feel like he's supposed to be looking up, like where his head is down and his eyes are up. But if you don't pose him exactly like that, then you got Royal King Conan rolling his eyes. Again with these people. Like, see it? See it? Even with the camera not being great, I'm pretty sure you could see where they put the blues in the eyes here. Let me see if I can get it to focus on it real quick. Come on. Come on, hide my face. See that face. See it? See it? Now you see it? Why did they do that? Like, I think I get it. I think it's supposed to be for when he's sitting in the throne. Because his hair is like, there's a lot here. And it's like his hair is pushed way back. So maybe he's supposed to be kind of looking up and looking. But like, I don't know, to be honest. And it does look a little goofy. But maybe I can make use of that too. Like, maybe I could do some skits where somebody tells a really bad dad joke and Conan can be like, something like that. I don't know. I'll probably make use of it, but it is bizarre that they chose that for the second head. Like, it's weird. Otherwise, there's an awful lot of detail here. Like, there's a lot of paint apps. There's a lot of gold in good places and everything. He does look good. He's got this cloth actual material right here. He's got this little, I think these are supposed to be, are these wolves? I think these are wolf pelts that are laid over the top of him. There, when you take that off, you get the actual armor piece right here. You get the gold emblem, which is nice. He's still wearing that old necklace, which is actually a really cool effect, by the way. And He's got decent turn for what it's worth. He's got the belt here. But he's got that old, like I said, that classics body with like that hard cut right here and the super wide chest. Like, let's pull the head off. Okay, head off. Take this whole piece off. Take his royal coat thing off. Does this body look awkward? Real question here. We gotta know. Does that... Well... Okay, hold on. I don't like this. See, this is one of those things. I talk about this a lot. When Classics was coming out, like when DC Classics was a thing and when Motu Classics was a thing, they were using this kind of body design. And I've always disliked this hard, middle cut body design with like the turns. I've never liked these bodies. He has 90-degree leg. Might not be too big of a deal. Might be something you can get over, in all honesty, because all I need for him to do is be able to sit on the throne, which I imagine he can do in the look that he's got here. His armor doesn't seem like it's in the way at all. His legs go up enough. I think that's a good possibility, because I bought him for the throne. If we're being perfectly honest, that's what I bought him for. So that's what I want him to work for. Now, if you put this head on, it looks like this head, like I was saying, it has hair that kind of fall. You see how it goes out? So I imagine he'll be able to look up, so you'll be able to get something where he's kind of leaning forward, where he's going to have his hand, he's going to be holding his sword or whatever, and he's going to be looking up. And I think the idea was to have him looking up, and that was the idea. I got a little bit of chipping on my shoulder, but nothing too bad. You know what it reminds me of? Now that I'm thinking about it, it feels like an old wrestling body, like a wrestling figure. That's what the body feels like. Now, I realize Arnold was a big dude. So maybe this body complements him and isn't that big of a deal for him as it would be for some other figures. That is very, very feasible. Maybe it's not a big deal on him as opposed to what it could have been on some other figures, because other figures would look goofy with a body that big, but Arnold is actually, in reality, a very large man, and so it kind of works out. Let's not do the rolling eyes one. Let's do the regular head here. Well, one thing. How are you going to look? That's it. There he is, on the throne. Is he passable? Does he work? Well, I mean, for what he costs, what the throne and everything costs, his movement, I'm going to admit something. He is growing on me as I work with him. Luckily, this Conan has enough stuff going on in terms of all his armor and everything that it kind of covers up the body that I don't care for. Like, I don't like these body designs. I've never liked these body designs. It's a big reason that I haven't bought a lot of figures from the era that used these body caps. And one of the reasons I'm very worried that Mattel is coming back in to do DC, and I'm like, please use a more modern body sculpt. please do not do this. But with the king, I think it's passable. I think there's enough extra stuff here, and I think he looks good enough. They did enough paint apps and everything on him to make him feel like he doesn't feel cheap. And I'm wondering, very much so, in reality, I'm wondering if the other Conan figures would pass the same standards. Would it pass the same test? Would I get the other Conan figures and say to myself, hey, because they have all this armor and all this stuff, and they look a certain way, they're passable and they work. Now they still got to get me past a $60 threshold to get me to buy in, and that's a big buy. Guys, we've talked about it already. I have a comfort zone for where I like to buy figures. And $60 over and over and over again, now more than that, in all honesty, is a hard sell. Realistically, if I'm talking about trying to jump in, I may be talking nearly $70 a figure. And I'm talking about, like, I need a standard Conan. I need the battle paint Conan. I need Thul Sadum. I need Subotai. I need Valeria. There is not a common Valeria that I'm aware of yet. There's only the Valkyrie Valeria. Ouch! 5 figures at $70 a piece? If I buy into this line, it will be sparingly. Very, very sparingly. But it's not impossible. I think that he's a good enough figure that you might just get me to invest 1 figure at a time every other couple months. And if I'm lucky and they hold out in the market long enough, maybe I could get the movie figures on the shelf. Let's check that chat, shall we? Looks like we still got 7 people hanging out. And just for the sake of, let's get this set up, and then I'll come into the chat here. So we have that's a possibility. Bam. Okay, let's see what is going on. Let me refresh this just in case. Okay. I like Shin Hate. Is it Hati? From Ahsoka series. I've yet to see it. Guys, I'm so far behind in Star Wars. It's one of those things that like now there's so much Star Wars that like I feel overwhelmed, like I don't even know where to start to try to catch up, or if I even have the time to do it. Probably rights. I would probably need that to be elaborated at this point. I've probably missed something along the way, or was talking about something else when he said that, and then I missed what it was, but that's okay. It had Kino in it from Ninja Turtles. Mako was great in the movie, and voiceover too. Dude, Mako had that voice, man. You always knew who that guy was. Like he just had that epic voice, man. It just hit. Man. And he, like, this is not a disrespect, but he sounded like an older dude that had, like, smoked those cigarettes and he was like a wise dude, like he was going to lay some raspy wisdom on you. Know, O prince, that when the seas drank Atlantis. Like, it just, he did, man. He had a sweet voice, and it was always like that. He played Master Splinter also in the TMNT movie, and he did a good job there, too. And it felt right. Like, there was something about his voice coming out of Splinter that I was like, I'm buying into that. Like, that feels like a Master Splinter voice. Like, it may be one of my favorite Master Splinter voices. Like, that's just completely awesome. You're saying Super 7, give me great figures to which I can put on my shelf. If you don't, with you. Right. Look, I do have a rule for collecting. It's a hard rule, and it can screw me. I have a one chance rule. What it is for collecting, this is one of my collection rules. The one chance rule says that I find a line that I find interest in, and I know that it's something that I could dive. Like, there's a lot here. But is it worth it? Do I invest in a bunch of Mezco? Well, let me find one figure that speaks to me. One. That's it. You get one shot. And I know that sounds a certain way, but there's a lot of stuff out there nowadays. And you can't collect everything. You don't have the money for it. So, just like we just did with King Conan, and not this, I've already tested Super 7 before, but this would be the idea. And actually it makes sense. Super 7 Ultimates Conan. Do I want to dive into this? Well, you find one figure that makes sense. He speaks to you. There's something about it. Okay, if I'm going to test the line, it's this. You buy that one figure. I look it over. I check it out. I get an initial impression from it, and I make a decision at that point. Do I go further into the line? Has this caught my attention enough to go into the line? Now, I've done this before, and it has bricked my collecting. Like, I did this with Mezco. I bought Wonder Woman. I checked her out. I thought she was fine. Then I stuck with her for a little while. And I started realizing a lot of things about her that I didn't like. I didn't like the way her neck was. I know that's weird, but it didn't seem right. She seemed like she had giraffe neck after messing with her for a little while. I didn't like the way that she fell over all the time. I didn't like the way that she felt unbalanced. I didn't like the way that her stuff fit in her hands. I didn't like the way that she felt sticky. I know that's a weird comment, but they used some sort of paint on her in the red and gold areas. And when you touch her, it feels like your hands kind of got to peel off of her a bit, like, and I hate it. I hate it. I know it's a paint issue because years ago there was a Captain Kirk that I bought, and he had a phaser that somebody had tried to customize. They tried to paint it like perfect, like the perfect thing. Basically, they used a paint. And I remember that phaser had the exact same effect. This phaser felt sticky because of that paint. And I really, really disliked it. Now, on top of that, I have also bought into things with this aspect and had to wait a very long time and miss out on a lot. I currently have a Mythic Legions that was supposed to have come out like last year. And she's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And she's a barbarian warrior elf. That's the one that speaks to me. And I've had a couple people on these lives, on this channel say, oh no, man, you got to jump into Mythic Legions. You got to try something else. I know that that's the one that speaks to you, but my advice is I would try this. These ones are coming out. They're coming out right now. You could get in there. I get it. I get that you're a fan and you want somebody else to jump in, but when you set collection rules, you follow them. I get it, because I fully understand. I understand where people are coming from. But if you create a collection rule for yourself, and then you get yourself into the habit of skipping over that rule, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm not worried about it this time. If you teach yourself to justify skipping out on your own collection rules, you may find yourself going down a rabbit hole that you cannot escape from later on. Like, it could screw you. So I'm pretty hardcore about these collection rules. When I come up with one, when I set one, I stick pretty hard to them. I have a collection rule for Ninja Turtles. I have a collection rule for how my money works. I have a collection rule for when I retire figures and things of that nature. And I have a collection rule about how I get into a line. I gotta find one figure that makes me go, all right, you have my attention. And I buy it and I try it out. If that one figure works, I'm in the line. I'll start giving you a chance. If I buy your figure and I find out later on that it doesn't work, that I'm not feeling it, then I'm out. If you spend $20 here, you cannot spend $20 here. If you fill this space here, you can't fill it with anything else. So, you can't collect everything. You can't do everything. My collection is always going to be different from yours. Your collection will always be different from mine. What I enjoy doesn't necessarily mean you will enjoy it. And why I like a thing or accept the flaws to a thing maybe is not okay with you. And that's fine. That's the thing about collecting, is we'll all do it for different reasons. Our collections are bound to look different. And as I've said, another part of my collection rules, to go a little further into this, every single item in my collection must have a viable story. Something that pertains to why it is in here in the first place. And if that story doesn't exist, it's got to go. It doesn't have a purpose here. It's got to go. I don't just complete lines because, oh, I got to get all the figures, got to get them. It's got to speak to me. There's got to be a purpose while I'm buying the thing. If there's not, I'm not a completionist like that. And in so saying that, I have bought figures like that Wonder Woman, and it kicked me out of Mezco for a long time. Until I waited, and I waited a good long time, until they said they were releasing King Conan. And so I said, okay, I've given it a very long time, a couple of years, where people would go, oh man, Mezco, and I'd be like, not interested. I tried. I gave it my one figure. It didn't work. I'm done. And that hits for a long time. If you mess a figure up that spoke to me, that I wanted it, that I got it, that then I figure out it's not worth my time, and I'm even at the point of selling or getting rid of that figure because it just didn't work, I'm out for a long time. If I feel like I've seen actual improvement in the thing that I have as opposed to what I see, because toy lines advance all the time. Maybe it took a couple of years for you to get to a point where now I'm interested again. Well, King Conan did it. And I bought the King Conan. And then comes my other part of this one figure rule. And this one is a tough one. Because my one figure rule determines whether or not I'm jumping into your line. You got one chance to impress me. You don't, I'm done. I'm going to another figure line. There's plenty of them out there. If I buy a Conan if I buy a Red Sonja, these two properties are very big for me. If I would have bought a Mezco Conan and it would have been trash, I'm done. And I don't mean done like I'll check back in a couple years. I'm done. You're done. With Conan, you get one shot. One. You gotta pass the bar. And if you don't pass it, I don't want anything else from your line. Nothing. If you do a Conan tribute, and I blatantly know that's what it is, and I buy it, and it doesn't pass that bar, I'm done. I know that's harsh, but we have collection rules, and we create standards, and one of my standards is Conan and Red Sonja. If you screw those up, I am no longer interested in any of your line. So, Brutal Realms, I've been watching you. You got some Barians coming, and I'm respecting what you're doing. But I did notice you got this character, Crowman. I know what that is. And I bought it. So I'm waiting. And when you get here, Cronan, I'm going to judge you. And it could be harshly. Because you will be the determining factor for whether or not Brutal Realms gets another single penny from me ever again. And I know he's a tribute. But don't screw that up. Because I know what he's supposed to be. Just saying. That's one of my hardest collection rules, and I stick by it 100%. Back to the chat. I got scared when you tore the head off. I thought it was going to snap. You wasted your money. That has happened to me before. I have said to myself, well, this seems like a good enough figure. I could pop the head. They're supposed to do that. And sometimes some of these figures desperately needed like heated up and popped out before you do it. And I have popped the head and broke the neck before. Like on a figure kind of like this, I took the head and I was like, pop! And it didn't pop out normal. It pulled the head and the little ratchet thing in there. It pulled this part. And it broke the neck right down the seam and split it in half. And I was like, oh, well, you're done. Like, that was the end of that guy. So I have done that before. And yeah, I noticed when I started talking about Conan and Super 7, this chat went silent for that moment. Looks like Letton had to get out for a minute, though. In your video about going deeper into collecting, you mentioned Legion figures. Are you still going to get one of those? Well, I could see the other part of your question right down there. It says that I answered it. Yes, I have one. I am waiting. And I saw the other thing from Legions that really spoke to me that, oh man, I would really want it. But as much as I want a bear, like I can't do it right now. My money is very tight between recovering from my medical stuff and getting into, like, I'm also fixing something on the house right now. And like, I do not have the money to play too willy-nilly. So my budget is, not that my budget isn't already very strict when it comes to toys, but it's even more strict than normal right now. By Mako, do y'all mean the Japanese guy who was Aku in Samurai Jack? I believe we are talking about the same people. That was him, right? See. Rest in peace to the GOAT. By the way, if you don't know, '07 is salute emoji. Really? Oh man, I guess that kind of makes sense. Okay. Those Conan figures are 43 on Big Bad right now. Oh, I saw that, Father Son. I saw that right now there's like a 20% mark off, like a clearance type of thing that Big Bad is doing. But I can't buy any of them. Because, like, and I just did the video today. It came out talking about the street date problems. That's part of what I meant when I was talking about street dates have real repercussions, is because right now there's an awesome sale on Big Bad. Like, they're marking a whole bunch of stuff out right now, like doing 20% or higher on different characters, and some of them really good figures. Like, not just like, please get these out of here, like good figures. But it just so happens to fall on May that they chose to do this, and it just so happens that out of nowhere, a bunch of figures that were supposed to come out last month got pushed into May. A lot of figures that are in May still haven't dropped. There's no guarantee that they will. We're at the 20th right now. They got 10 days to drop some figures. Maybe? But if it happens, then I got like 7 figures dropping in May, and now figures that weren't even a part of May, that weren't supposed to come out till June, that are now coming out in May, and a figure that wasn't even supposed to come out till July, that is now coming out in May. Like, May got ransacked. So that is a sweet deal, and I have to pass on it. You spent money on a chair. I did. Mako was Aku. I thought for sure, but I didn't want to say that 100% and like not look it up and then be wrong. But yeah, I was pretty sure. Sorry if I died on chat. Most I know about Conan is Mortal Kombat and what you talk about. I do want to see that. I haven't played a Mortal Kombat in like probably like the last Mortal Kombat I played was Armageddon. Seriously, I did play Mortal Kombat, and I did play Mortal Kombat X, but like only in passing, only like I was at somebody's house and they were playing and I was like, sure, I'll try. That's it. But Mortal Kombat, adding Conan, I mean, I like Conan. Just saying. And I get that. I get it. Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And even then, Mortal Kombat Conan is Arnold Conan, which I know you are iffy on how accurate it is. Yes, but I think that it has a legit place in the history of Conan. I mean, without Arnold, you probably never would have got Conan into the mainstream the way that he exists today. I mean, even though he's not accurate to what Conan should be, he's still interesting. Looks like Marvel and Jada won too dang long ago. I should have been keeping my eye on that. I apologize. But let's do a tiebreaker. And let's see how this one goes. Let's see. Also, by the way, if you ever wanted to know, Aku's name is literally just evil in Japanese. Also, is it me or are you saying Conan differently today? Here's the thing. Because I have yet to see any... I've never actually watched an interview with Robert E. Howard, like heard his word physically. So, sometimes I have seen in books where they will explain expressly give you a pronunciation of Conan. And it will be Conan. And they will use that pronunciation. But then I have also seen movies and media and people that are very much into the character that say Conan. And so I tend to kind of jar back and forth between where I'm feeling at the time. And I know that can be jarring, but like, that's what that's about. Kind of like for years until I read a very specific book that told me the exact way to say her name. Years ago, I used to call her Belit. Because I was just reading it. I didn't know. I didn't know that her name was Belit. I had no idea that's how you said it. I ended up reading a book that actually had a direct pronunciation sound out key in the book so that when she showed up, they were like, this is her name. And I have also heard, kind of like with Sonya, everybody calls her Sonya. Everybody. But if you ever read the Conan books, if you ever read the comic books, you'll notice when he says her name, he will alter the way that it is said. He will say son, like son, yeah. He does that. You can see it in the pronunciation, in the word bubbles. He'll be like Sonya, wait up. So which is right? The way that he's saying it in the pronunciations, or the way that the whole world seems to say it? Sonya. Which is right? Well, I don't know. That's up for debate, and the only person that can answer that question for me 100% is a little bit dead. So it's one of those things that I could argue with people for the rest of my life. And I don't know if anybody has a definitive, true, 100%, this is definitely the way it's supposed to be answer that is backed up and verified by any actual information. Like in the animated series, they call him Conan. In a couple movies, he has been pronounced Conan. But also in other forms of media for years. And even the official Conan YouTube calls him Conan. Which is it? I don't know. So that's why sometimes my pronunciation will change, because sometimes my mind will say, this feels right. And then other times my mind will go, well, that feels comfortable. That feels right. I used to actually have this argument with another character years ago, because when I would hear her name said, sometimes people would call her Tifa. Other times people would call her Tifa. Which is it? I don't know. And back then, when you were reading these games, you didn't get a definitive answer because you were reading the games. It was up to you, pretty much, to determine that. What up, y'all? What's going on, Rail fan? You thinking about justice and stuff? Got in here my dinner of chicken fajitas and rice. Awesome, man. Okay, I found out that E. Howard said it's pronounced akin to Ronin, so Conan. Neither of the two. You see what I mean? So, yeah, it's... And that's very possible. Or, well, not that he explicitly said Ronin. That's me helping out with something similar. John Constantine, I heard it's pronounced Tyne, not Teen. And I've heard that too. I've heard that it's John Constantine. I've heard that a couple of times that it's supposed to be Tyne. There was something else too. There's some other Jekyll. I actually think it's supposed to, like Dr. Jekyll. I don't think it's supposed to be Jekyll. I think the actual original pronunciation was Jekyll. I'm almost positive that I've read that somewhere, that it's supposed to be Jekyll, not Jekyll. So, like, pronunciations are wild because sometimes what the original author may have intended, once the public gets a hold of it, they pretty much decide, and after that, it just kind of forms to fit. And then everybody just kind of uses that pronunciation, and that's the end of it. Like, that's the end of it. That's what it is. I remember when I helped you pronounce Suikoden, and me and you double teaming Nick with... Here's your problem. Here's your problem. Over here, in official Final Fantasy properties that have been voice acted to say those words, we have had both pronunciations, Bahamut and Bahamut. Both in official Final Fantasy projects. So when you say Nick is wrong, that's very hard for you to dictate when the official sources can't make that decision. Kind of like, very blatantly, in two official Square Enix games, they call him Titus, and then another game that has him in it calls him Titus. Which is it? Both official Square Enix titles use different pronunciations for the same guy. And both are official works. And if they can't even get it right, which is right? I mean, it's an argument you can have. And yeah, I'll bet you one could argue, since his name, like you just said, if it's a proper Latin pronunciation, then his name should be what you're saying right there. Tidos. But it's not. I mean, over here in official works, I heard his name said, and neither of them ever used that pronunciation. So, like, wow. Y'all talking about pronounced of name remains me of Seth. Oh, yeah, it reminds me of Seth trying to pronounce Sentai names. I remember that. I remember this one specifically. Okay, let's see here. Yes, let's go ahead and open him because he won. This one ought to be neat. And I'm very curious who all is going to get this one at all. You looking for DJ? That's right. That's right. My introduction to DJ, back when I started playing the games, I remember more than the video games, because the video games, he was just the smiling guy that would do that stupid punch. Like, oh man, that machine gun punch would wreck your stuff, man. You were done. But I remember, strangely enough, the anime. Like the movie, like Street Fighter 2, the movie, the anime. That's what I remember him from more than anything. Like, when when you see that he's a club bouncer, and the cyborg things are like looking for him, and he beats up a couple of guys. One guy's like got a knife, and he doesn't even worry about it. He just kind of steps back and he's like, "Bow!" And then he kicks the guy and knocks him out. And then he sees the other two guys because he sees Guile and Chun-Li, and he's like, "You guys looking for DJ?" There's something about his intro line that I always got a kick out of for no real reason at all. Just every now and then, a line or a moment in a show will hit me, and I will never be able to let it go. And for some reason, yeah. I want to be honest, though. Game-wise, I don't think I ever had a friend ever, literally ever, who mained DJ. I don't think I've ever seen it. Like, in a personal circle, I have never seen anybody main DJ. Ever. I used him for a little bit, but I never mained him. I use Cammy. That is who I got very, very, very good with. But regardless of a minimal history in terms of DJ, he's never been a character that I disliked or hated in any way. Like, I think that's important because realistically, like, if you're talking about fighting games, you will often tend to find characters that you do not care for. This blatantly happens. Like, when you are playing fighting games, you will find characters that for whatever reason you cannot use them or you do not like them. One that comes to mind is if you play Virtua Fighter. I do not like Akira. Like, at all. I do not, because sometimes when I play fighting games and we pass the controllers and we hang out, one of the things we will do is we will hit random. So both players hit random. Whoever you get, we're just playing a fighting game. You lose, you pass the controller. You win 2 full rotations, you pass the controller. Everybody needs to be playing everybody, not just you playing for the rest of your life. So like those are like fighting game rules that we hold pretty true to. We also have the no cheat policy. If you are wrecking somebody because you found this one move and you keep repeating it over and over and over again, or this one combo or one tactic, and it's the only way that you know how to fight, like corner trapping or something like that, if you get caught corner trapping, we call you, you're passing on the next run. And if you get caught doing the same repetitive thing more than 3 times in a row, we'll call you on it, and that's it. Now, this never had a problem with DJ. He would show up, and I would be like, yes! Akira shows up in Virtua Fighter? No. Like, no. I have lost. I have absolutely lost. I cannot win. I don't like to use him at all. On top of that, another character on Dead or Alive, I can use everybody. It's not an exaggeration. I can use everybody. That doesn't mean I like to use everybody. If it gives me Bass, I do not like Bass. Like, at all. Like, not even the littlest bit. And then other characters I remember too, like, thinking Mortal Kombat, I can't say I was ever thrilled when the game would give me, like, Bo Raicho. I'd be like, I'm the drunk throwing up guy. Like, I'm not even saying he was bad. Like, he'd just come up and I'd be like, okay, I guess I'm this guy, and whatever. So, I do think there's merit to the fact that I know he's a decent character in the game. Because if I get him, I'm not put off by him. Where other fighting games that I have blatantly played, I do sometimes get a character and go, no, this isn't going to work for me. Not too much in terms of my history for something like DJ, but look, this is one of those few lines where when they released this and they said they were going to do all of Street Fighter 2, I'm in for all of it. I'm in for all of it. There's not a character in Street Fighter 2 that I do not like. This was such a big thing for me when I was growing up. I got so good at it. I put so much time into it. Ironically enough, Street Fighter and Cammy in particular were my gateways into understanding just how vast canon could be. Like when you think you know, because like you've played a game or something like that, and then you discover just how deep the actual property runs, like how much storyline is actually in the backgrounds of a thing and how much you really don't know about this thing that has so much lore built into it. Like that was my gateway into figuring out, because there was so much more going on here than Street Fighter Tournament. Like so much more. And I did not realize it until I started realizing it by accident through Cammy. That's an entire other video, entire other conversation. But let's open DJ. Okay, so here we go. DJ. We have two heads for DJ. We have the screaming head for doing effects and attacks and things like that, which is really cool. We have the standard head for DJ, which is actually a really good head in its own right, but this isn't a bad screaming head, especially, like I said, knowing DJ's personality and whatnot, that's pretty cool. Let's see, we've got standard punching hands, we have a point hand, and we have this thumb hand, so he can kind of point to himself, do something like that, or he can point at you, or he can give you a thumbs up, different things like that. His standard head has his hair in front, and his other head, specifically so he can do his attacks and whatnot, actually has the hair flailing in back, which is cool, and neither of these will get in the way because Jada's amazing. This is completely malleable, it moves, it's fantastic. Like, Jada should be an absolute standard go-to understanding for the industry on how to make figures work. Like, at the price range that they're doing, look at this. This guy has some Spider-Man level freaking flexibility. Like, and he's a big dude. Like, this isn't even a guy that you would imagine putting on a Spider-Man level, but there's pretty much no pose that you can't do. He has the big butterflies. His stuff goes way back. He goes way forward, almost to the point where he could literally cross his arms. If you gave him the right hands, he can almost literally, and for an action figure, if you know, that's a big deal when you can almost literally cross your arms. You can almost get him to do it. And that is not normal for action figures from any company, literally. Literally from any company. He does come with this. And of course, he gets an effect stand because of course he does. So his ability, his move is literally something that he can throw and you can do the photography and whatnot and have it. Look, guys, Jada Toys cannot help but knock it out of the park with every single one of these they do. And because we don't have enough here, pop his head, put that on, put his head back on, and he has an actual gold chain. Like a gold chain. I know how easy of an effect that is. But how many times have we bought figures and this just would have been sculpted on? How many times have we bought figures and that would have been a piece of plastic? How many times have we bought figures and this would have been solid hair and his head wouldn't have been able to move? Like, he'd have moved, like, he wouldn't be able to turn this way, and if he turned that way, his hair would actually get in the way of him turning even further. And he would be able to look up, but he'd never be able to look down because his hair wouldn't move. How many times have we seen that? Look at this level of detail that they actually have the M in the side of his head. Like, look at the actual detail that they actually wrote maximum down his pants right here. Like, you might think this isn't that big of a deal if you haven't been in toys for too long. And that's fine. But the longer you spend inside action figures, the more you realize that Jada, it feels like they're rewriting the game. Like, Jada is somehow producing these figures and they're maintaining like $30 price points. I have seen figures come out of Fig Arts and Mayfex that look and perform worse than this and cost 4 times what this costs. And I'm not kidding, I have seen it. Jada's unreal. Like, I haven't seen them do a figure yet. Not one figure yet for this Street Fighter line that hasn't been an absolute knockout. I haven't seen it. It's mind-blowing. I am in for the long haul. I want the entire Street Fighter II lineup. And it is unbelievably worth it. Because they might still literally have the best deal in toys right now. They're just so good. And now that I'm going back to the chat, Jada is eliminated from the votes. Until new Jada comes in, Jada no longer appears on the votes, and Conan no longer appears on the votes. They have both been eliminated from the votes. We are out of figures. I don't know what's taking Jada's spot. Right now, we have Frazetta Icon, which is still which is now going to be added to rotation. It's the Norseman, and he will be added to the rotation because we have the open slot where Jada is. I've been working this into the rotation, how this works. And so over here, I have a stack to pick from. Right now, we have Motu Origins, which is still going to be in rotation. We have Motu Masterverse, which is in rotation. Marvel Legends. G.I. Joe Classified. Star Wars. And that's it. There's argument that there will be some other things added here after a while. And, of course, DC will come back as we get things like from DC and whatnot. But for right now, we've knocked out quite a lot of these, actually. Let's see. Let me do this before I start closing things out. I don't want to... Dude, I remember that. Shane, I don't want to try to say that. He says I think I'll get in trouble. So, I'm not oblivious to the fact that I don't think I know how to pronounce it. I've heard it. Because I remember when we did the episode, I've heard it. But since I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm not even going to attempt it. It's Demon from Friday the 13th. Ah, yes, DJ. The guy Bill had to show sources on him existing because he wasn't on the arcades where I lived. Yeah, he wasn't added until the new Challengers. When the arcade games for the new Challengers came out and hit, that's when we got Fei Long, Cammy, and DJ. I bought that movie. Chun-Li vs. Vega was fantastic. Yes, it is. I also really, really like Ryu vs. Fei Long. How I remember DJ was from the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme? He wasn't anything like he was in the games or the animated movie in that. He was, oh, that's right! He was a comic relief guy. I forgot. Dude, I forgot until you just said that. I forgot he was in the movie. You're right. Yeah, he's the comic relief guy that's running around. Oh my God. That completely slipped my mind. I forgot that was a thing. Did you all see the trailers for Jurassic World Rebirth and Zootopia 2? I have not. Noel, especially given the fact that none of the crew ever realized Gur in Sentai name is from... Oh, yeah, Jur. Yeah, no, yeah, I know it's Jur. I do remember that, because it's the same kind of pronunciation as, like, Ranger. Yeah, I remember that episode. Made me laugh so hard. Given Bill's seeming dyslexia. So, it is a thing people pick up on sometimes. I do have a weird form of dyslexia. So sometimes, like, when I'll say something, instead of, like, when people say... it's hard for me to explain. Sometimes when people say things like, oh, there were like 9 or 10 of them, my brain won't do that. Sometimes I'll be like, there were like 10 or 9 of them. Like, I'll do that for some reason, like, and make that like regular. And I'll kind of flip words around sometimes and things like that, which is also probably the reason I'm really, really bad with names. And the more stressed out I am, the worse that gets. So like, especially right now when I'm doing 6 days a week and I'm doing overtime on the weekdays and I'm running back and forth and whatnot, I've noticed that it's been hitting me a lot more often, because there are days that I've even come in here to do these and I'll like read the messages and I'll read them wrong. Like, and I'll know that I'm reading them wrong, and I'll have to like stop myself and be like, hold on, my brain isn't doing what it's supposed to do. I do have a mild form of dyslexia, but it only seems to hit me when I'm getting stressed out. Like when I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, or I'm working too much and I'm not like sleeping enough, then it starts to like pick up real bad. Otherwise, for the most part, it's pretty much unnoticeable. It was real bad when I was a kid. Like D and B, like lowercase, I would flip them around. It was like really tough for me, and I'd constantly do like my C's backwards for some reason. I remember that specifically with C, and I have no idea what that was about. But then, like, for the most part, it hasn't really been a problem as I've gotten older. Like, I don't really make that mistake like I used to. Like, I've noticed now, D and B don't mess with me. My C's aren't backwards. My numbers don't really get flipped unless I'm speaking. Then every now and then when I say something like that, it will get flipped. But it seems to elevate and be noticeable, like if I'm constantly stressed or working too much or whatever, then it starts to get noticeable that I have dyslexia. But for the most part, normally it doesn't hit. I have a lot of people that don't even notice that I have it, because I'm usually in a good enough mood that they'll never pick up on it, because I'm not stressed out when I'm around them, so it never kicks in. Well, I appreciate that you want me to stay around. Gotta say, I remember when people were annoyed at Ryu as a ranger being just Ryu Ranger, because it confused the heck out of Sentai fans, and later they changed it to Crimson Hawk Ranger, which, I'm going to say something. Crimson Hawk Ranger is a way cooler name than Ryu Ranger. Okay? That's a arguably really sweet name. Crimson Hawk Ranger is pretty cool. Fan base rejoiced then. Oh, speaking of Boraicho, as a Hispanic person, his name makes me die from laughter. His name is literally just a Chinese-styled Borracho, Spanish for wasted drunk. Sometimes you got to give it up for wordplay. That's creative. That's creative. I really find it funny how Hadoken and Shoryuken were just kept Japanese because you could hear it clearly. Right. And still, we had people over here arguing over what they were saying. Not a joke. On the school ground, I remember people would tell you, it's fire shuriken. I remember that argument clearly as a kid, going to school and having people think he was going, fire shuriken, and for you, kin. Literally, people thought that's what he was saying. For you, kin. Where he would do the uppercut, and it was like, people thought that Ryu and Kin, that they were friends, and that the reason he would say that is because it was like him doing Kin's move. Because Kin did a better version of it. But then nobody ever seemed to have it in their argument when that would come up. Nobody ever seemed to have the argument for, then why does Kin say that? Like, why would Kin say that? Like, he's just that egotistical. For me! But nobody ever bothered with that part. But I remember the arguments as to what was actually being said. But they had to come up with an English name for the flying spinny kick because the audio was too fast and the name was hard to pronounce. It's still kind of hard to pronounce today. if you want the truth of it. That's why I always laugh when Seth does it on like the when we're doing the fandom night. Seth will just like break out random noises. Like, it's not his fault that he's going. Oh my gosh. Yes, eat well. The aftermath is the song at the end of the movie when they think Guile is dead. Well, guys, I think that's going to cut it for this one. We knocked out 2 toy lines. Conan is now, he's knocked out. And it has opened up the possibility for some Super 7 figures. I don't know how often they'll drop in, but it has opened the window. Also, Jada is now deleted from rotation. We don't have any left. We will probably be replaced with a figure from Frazetta Icons, which I imagine will have 2 of those, because right now we have the Norseman, and on the way we have Conan. Oh man, I cannot wait. It's going to be... That is a figure I cannot wait for. Absolutely. See you later, man. You keep doing, man. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm getting tired. I really am getting tired, though. I've been noticing it for like the last hour. My eye has been watering, and I've been trying to get over it. But I still can't. I still got another hour and a half to burn out before I go pick up my wife, and then I can lay down for the night or whatever. But I do have fantastic news. Fantastic news. It's fantastic. They can't force me this weekend. Because it is considered a holiday weekend, because I'm union, they cannot force me. So I will get a 3-day weekend, which I haven't decided yet, I may expand that weekend, because I think my kid has Friday off, and if she does, I'm probably going to leave work early, because I have like Y time I can use. I might leave work early, go get her, and turn it into a 4-day weekend, because like, I'm burning out hard. It's starting to get noticeable. It's weird that the Mega Man 3 for Jada is characters from 2 and 3 rather. Yes! Yes! Dude! You're like the first person to say that. What happened? Like, all we needed was like, we needed Bomb Man. We need a Dr. Wily, a Dr. Light, arguably. I think it would be cool to get the doctors. It would be cool to get like a deluxe where it's like Wily comes in the Death Skull. Or at least, if not in the Death Skull, could we get him in the UFO? I don't know how they would do this, but could we get him with the eyebrows? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, because he would come out of the UFO and be like, then fly away. I don't know how Jada would do that, but it would be amazing. But no, we had Bomb Man and Guts Man, and we were done with Mega Man 1. Like, we almost had a full roster. And then they, like, jumped and just started doing other figures from the other... Because I thought the idea, I really did, I thought we were going to do all of Mega Man 1, then we were going to jump to 2, then we were going to jump to 3. And then, like, out of nowhere, they were like... Let's rock out some Mega Man 2 and 3 figures. And now I'm like, crap, how long before we get the others now? Like, because now that makes me feel like we're just open to doing Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we are, then it could be a long time before we finish even one game. Funko did a Dr. Wily that scales with the Jada figures if Jada never makes one. Well, really? I didn't realize that. I'll have to look at that. Just in case. Yeah, because you're right. Just in case we don't get to one. Dude, we need a Wily. They got to give us a Wily and they got to give us a light and a roll. A roll. I mean, why not, right? I don't know. Well, look, guys, I am going to get out of here. I'm starting to get tired. I'm starting to notice it. But thanks for hanging out. And next time I have the chance to do one of these, I will be back. Get out of here, guys.